Jennifer serves as the CEO of TechForce Foundation. It's a not-for-profit that is powering the technician workforce. There's nothing else out there like it right now. Jen has enjoyed a 28-year career in nonprofit management, having served senior leadership for Make-A-Wish Foundation. She was the head of corporate strategic alliances for the YMCA and the Nature Conservatory. Her mission is to champion students to and through their education and careers as professional technicians. Now, Jennifer, I shouldn't have looked down to read that. And I say that because when Jennifer and I first met, it was a love fest. It was at the San Francisco airport, and she joined me for a weekend with her beautiful daughter at Pebble Beach. And we became fast friends after that. About a year later, Jennifer hired me as a consultant. So I should have known that mission by heart because I've said it about 1,000 times. Shame on me. But anyways, I have enjoyed so much working with Jennifer. Her passion, her creativity, and God knows her hard work with a very small team that does very powerful work. And some of them are on here today. Dana, I know you're dark right now, but if you work for TechForce, please raise your hand. Because I know we've got some of you on here. Mike Brasendo, I believe, is on here. Dana Rappaport, just an amazing, mighty team, Jennifer, that you've put together. So what we'll do is Jennifer's going to do her presentation. And if you have any questions, please put them to me in the chat room or to everybody. And we'll have an open Q&A after. And Jennifer has a fantastic presentation. She's changing the world, and let's support her in her initiative. Thank you, Jennifer.
Well, thank you. What a nice intro. Well, I feel very supported and blessed because I would say that a good amount of the folks on the phone here today are friends. They're supporters of TechForce. I will try and hopefully introduce you to some new stuff that you haven't seen before or bring you up to speed, but just know I care a lot that you're here and supporting me. And for those who don't know me and don't know TechForce, thank you for coming on and learning a little bit. What I did is I did put together a PowerPoint, even though I hate PowerPoints because I really, as Cindy knows, I don't script anything. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm a Sagittarius, blunt as a child. And I just think that's much more entertaining. And at the same time, there's so much I want to show everybody that we're really proud of. And a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some visuals to go with what it is, because I guess what I'm most proud of that I want to share with you today is what this team has built. We started off in 2007 as a scholarship organization, and that is what we did. And we are so much more now. And I think you'll see as I go through it, what we've been able to build. And our board of directors really just said there's so much that we can do for students and to help this industry that while giving away money is a really good thing and helping them get through school, it wasn't the only thing we could do. And so with that support, we really kind of started to build something out of very little, and I'll share it with you. So one of the things I thought I would do is just kind of start on how did I get here? Like, how does this nonprofit gal who's been with Make-A-Wish of America and YMCA of the USA get to the automotive, aviation, technician profession, workforce development area? And I would say that I was lucky enough to get a phone call one day from a former partner of ours who used to run the NASCAR Foundation. And she'd known me through Make-A-Wish. And she called one day and said, I know it's crazy, but you needed to go talk to these people. They need a new CEO. Well, it was crazy. And I thought, why would they ever want me? And what would I ever have to offer? But I'll tell you, Cindy's heard me say it before. I found being a mama bear a real connection with the cause. And that is the technical education and career exploration I really believe in. I believe that there is more than one road to success, and that we're all wired differently, and that every student really needs to find an education and career that fits them. And I really learned that being a mom and having a son who had ADHD and dyslexia, and he didn't want to sit in his chair and listen to the teacher and watch the board. He wanted to get hands-on. And so it was a constant struggle trying to find that pathway that was right for him. And through that, that's where I kind of became that mama bear champion to say, hey, not everybody needs to go to a 4-year university. There are other pathways, and technical education is viable. And the skilled trades, shoot, we need them. This country has done a really good job in the last 30 years of blasting the skilled trades and taking them out of the schools and poo-pooing the profession. And we've done a real disservice to ourselves. So that's what gets me up every day. That's what keeps me coming, is I really do see this as a cause that needs some champions. And that's what TechForce is here to do. So we say our mission, literally as a nonprofit 501c3, meaning a charity, is to get students to and through that education and into jobs as professional technicians. And so that's our lane, is the professional technician. There's lots of jobs in automotive and motorsports and racing and restoration and aviation. There's lots of jobs, but we really focus on that technician profession because there's such a massive shortage that somebody has to focus there, because if we don't have qualified skilled techs, then America doesn't roll. It doesn't move, right? So in the end of the day, we learned during COVID, these are also essential workers. That's what got your groceries to the store. That is what got the fleets and the trucks and our cars all still moving, was making sure we had techs. So when you looked at the tech shortage and you start to say, why do we have workforce shortages all across all industries today? But really, you start to say, how do you start solving some of the shortages? There is no magic bullet, no one-hit wonder. You can't just take kids to a career fair once and think it's changed their life. We have a real problem with career exploration now. Unfortunately, it's still like what it was 30 years ago when I was a kid. You go in and take some crappy assessment and they're like, well, you should be this or that, a nurse, a doctor, or a plumber. And it doesn't give them any information. The biggest problem is kids don't know what they don't know, and they don't know how to get where they're trying to go. So we recognize if you really want to be part of this solution, you need to realize it's multifaceted, and you have to start early, back up. When I look at it, it was all of these companies and businesses and schools. They were all going after the high school juniors and seniors, being like, pick us, think of us, come to work for us. It's too late. The pipeline was too dry. We'd already burned those fish out of the pond way long ago. So instead, it was like, you need to back up. And ideally, yes, you should back up to grade school, right? But being a good nonprofit and saying, can't boil the ocean, we started looking at middle school, where all the schools around the country, there are really a lot of state mandates saying, go ahead and do career exploration. What do you want to be when you grow up? And what we found is kids said, you can get me excited about cars, but get my counselors and my parents out of the way, because they're like, what do you want to do that for? And we've lost them. So to be able to start earlier and show kind of what the profession really is about, how the industry is evolving, why is this exciting, these computers on wheels and all this rising technology? But then you got to stay with them. You got to find all the different milestones in their life where they need information. They don't know what they don't know, and you need to be that resource for them. So we are actually trying to create kind of a new model that looks at students and says, how do we do a new model for career exploration and workforce development? And that is to find them early, right? They're not necessarily enrolled in an automotive program because maybe they don't have one anymore. So how do we find them? How do we find those hands-on tactile learners, the ones who love to take it apart and put it back together, problem solvers? Then how do you get into this TechForce network in our community? Then how do you stay with them, offering them anything they need whenever they need it? Need to find a high school, need to find a post-secondary school, need a scholarship, want to go out to an event, you want to go to a NASCAR or a Formula Drift, but your parents hate all that and you don't have anybody to take you? We'll take you, right? Get them all through and then get them into jobs and use that model to actually prove pipeline placement works. I'm proud that in 2014, when I joined TechForce, we were a $1 million organization, scholarships and grants, and we were working in with 13 schools across the country in the following states. Today, we're a $5 million organization working in almost every single state across the country. So building those school relationships, working with all of our partners, there's a lot of growth that's come along. We've also built a team. When I joined in 2014, it was me and one gal, Lisa Matke. Thank God she's still here with us, but we've added so many more. And as you see, the green line staff, Cindy's been a part of the upper line, which is additional consultants, Dana, everybody. So we've been growing, getting kind of the people and the bandwidth to do the work that we pledged. We took a pretty good hit in 2020. COVID kicked us on our teeth a bit. We lost almost $1 million in a matter of 4 weeks. We have just recovered to, I'd say, where we were when we were ending 2019 as far as funding and resources, donations go. And yet, all that time, the TechForce team delivered everything in our strategic plan, all the deliverables, all the builds that had been part of our vision. So we just tightened our belt and dug down and worked harder and kept going. And so now we're excited because now we're able to start catapulting again. So what is it that we do? I would say, we try to do a couple of things, 4 things really well. One is we knew we had to work to change the perception. As I said, what do you want to do that for? And so really showing the evolving technology, where this industry is going. As we say, it's not a blue collar career, it's a new collar career. And having a lot of that storytelling out there is what we do best. Most of us on the team, we're marketers at heart, even though most of us have been in nonprofit and I've raised $100 million in my career. I still don't consider myself a fundraiser. I consider myself a marketer and a person who forms strategic win-win alliances. So this is an example of kind of what you're seeing us doing. And let me share with you, because a picture is worth 1,000 words.
I'm going to need some help out here. Hopefully you can send someone fairly quickly. Oh, shit. Oh, man.
So yeah, spreadsheets are awesome.
I work in pet food, the wet cat food category, and we're growing 3% year over year.
I never get to see my girlfriend, but after midnight they do pay half my ride share.
So it's our annual office party. Oh, it's the London office. Hello?
As a race car driver, my life depends on the skills and competencies of my pit crew. Every detail matters. These trained techs keep me safe on the track, just like a trained tech keeps you and your family safe on the road. For no good reason, and for far too long, automotive technicians were stereotyped as grease monkeys. Today, that term is even more absurd. Besides having excellent tactile skills, today's techs have to be uncanny problem solvers and fluent in technical and computer knowledge. It's a skilled career that allows one to work and live anywhere. It's in high demand as cars, trucks, motorcycles, and service vehicles aren't going away anytime soon. You, as parents, can help provide meaningful experiences to develop these talents into rewarding futures.
So the next thing we do really well that we're pretty proud of, Miss Dana here is on the phone, heads up our diversity, our DE&I efforts. We look at the industry, the workforce, technicians. Less than 3% of all techs are women. So you want to solve the tech shortage? Welcome women.
I want to be an automotive tech because there's such a demand in this industry. Women make great techs because we think outside the box. Working alongside so many men motivates me to try my hardest to get to the top. Put your talents to work. Be a tech.
Our Women's Tech Rock initiative has been going on for several years and is really kind of kicking into high gear. Dana has interviewed over 52 women, and that is part of our 52 series. 52% of the population are women. There's 52 weeks in a year. So every single week we spotlight and highlight a different female tech who rocks through our video series. It's on YouTube. I hope everybody can check it out and share it. But it's just important because young women need to see themselves in the industry. They can't feel alone. And so this is why having the imagery, the storytelling in the future, we're going to be setting up, hopefully with Cindy and Lynn and others, tapping into that mentoring and that network so that they again say, I'm not alone. Too often they start school, a tech school, they are the only female in the class. And at the point, what you worry about is self-doubt rises. I don't belong here. I can't do this. And they drop out. We don't want that. So that's where you kind of have that community of support. Really excited in the next couple of weeks, we will be launching our white paper on women techs. And this is listening to them for, all of that video, all that storytelling, interviewing. You hear a lot of unique, but you also hear a lot of themes that come across. They've asked us to be their voice and to turn a lot of what they're asking to be heard back to industry and employers, saying, here's what you can do to help better attract and retain women in the industry.
You don't want to hire me.
Yet you need me.
Industry needs to hire 177,000 technicians this year, but schools are only graduating 32,000.
That gap's your pain point and your bottom line. Are you feeling the pain?
Less than 3% of all technicians today are women. Want to solve the tech shortage?
Welcome women.
I have dedicated my entire career to encouraging women to pursue their passions, but the reality is this industry isn't always welcoming. I know from my experience, as well as those of countless women who have shared their stories with me, that the intimidation, the struggle, the harassment, the challenges facing women in these trades is real and present, and it hasn't gone away.
I have to work harder to prove myself. I won't back down.
We need technicians, and yet we're not welcoming the other half of the population. Women can do this work. They want to do this work. Industry isn't always welcoming, and that needs to change.
I didn't ask to be a trailblazer, but here I am.
The third thing we do really well is building relationships. So this is about the grassroots, local, boots on the ground. You can talk about the industry, you can get people excited, we can have all of these, marketing going out, but it's ultimately the face-to-face, personal interactions that can make the difference in a future tech's life. So this is where this year, some of my friends, Ed Chipowalski, Steve DiMarzio, who are on the phone, they've all been long supporters and willing to be our ambassadors and spokespeople and get out there and rally. And yet when we kind of got kicked in the teeth during 2020 with COVID, some of that had to take a back seat. But we're excited because we just hired our first full-time volunteer engagement coordinator, and we're going to really go forward now with our TechForce ambassador and an influencer program. It's a volunteer program because so many people have said, I'll help you. What can I do? And I get that kid. I was that kid. So we want to really bring together that spirit and those relationships. On the screen on the right, you see Lisa Weinberger. I mean, she is an absolute car enthusiast, a collector, a vintage sports racer. She has funded, right, these student experiences where we can take kids to the Autobahn or CODA or Road America. They get to hear the roar of the engines. They meet employers. They meet enthusiasts like you. And, they catch the bug. But it's also about building that relationship in those networks where they don't feel like they're alone, but they actually feel like somebody might help open the door for them.
Long Beach. Race weekend has been awesome.
I really did never think I would have a chance to come to a race like this.
I've been to race events, but never something like this.
Just like the speed, the sound.
So exhilarating and exciting.
When I hear those cars pass, I get goosebumps on my own. I love it.
For the livery, the TechForce logo to be on Jimmy's car was huge.
It was awesome seeing the TechForce car out there in action.
It was just really awesome. Once the covers came off the car, it looked like a fighter jet on wheels.
Cool to see Carvana and TechForce come in one. Phenomenal.
And we had 25 students from all over the country show up today.
I'm studying to be a diesel technician.
I'm going to be going to school in UTI of Sacramento.
As of now, I'm a fabricator, a welder.
I want to build race cars.
My favorite part from the TechForce perspective was to see these students light up, meeting these people who are making a living at a high level, doing what they want to do.
Meeting Jimmy in general was quite honestly the best experience.
Maybe one day I could be working with him.
It was amazing seeing the women that were involved in somewhat of a man-dominated field.
And Mike, the crew chief, he was so open and answering all the questions.
Meeting the crew chief was honestly like meeting the future me.
Couldn't have asked for a better experience.
I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life.
And I talk about the mama bear in me. I get so proud of those things. And I think that that's it, is it's nice because donors get to see, their support in action. They get to see those smiles. The kids often come in kind of like, what are we going to be doing here? Or are we going to be lectured to? And by the end, their mind's blown. And so these are important. It's important to be involved with the schools and to be able to bring in our speakers to schools to get them energized. It's important for us to bring them out. So this is the type of stuff that anybody here can help with. Of car shows, you have a cars and coffee and you're willing to have 5 kids meet you for 15, 20 minutes, introduce them to your friends, show them the cars. These are the types of connections that make it real for them. So what I mean about staying with them, this is an example. You saw Chris in the diversity video just a few minutes ago. So I met Chris when she was 17 years old. She was a high school student. She was enrolled in her auto shop program at Metro Tech in Phoenix, Arizona. She was involved with Skills USA, which is a big after-school career tech after-school program. She, interestingly, wasn't involved in the automotive program. She was involved in the public speaking program of Skills USA. And she was one of their national ambassadors going and stomping the hill in DC for these types of support programs. I stayed with her. We talked. What is your dream? I want to become a tech. Got it. What can we do to help you? This is the example of staying with her. We supported a career mentoring program in Phoenix. We got her enrolled and our funding helped to get her more additional kind of leadership training skills. She then picked which school she wanted to go to. She applied and won the Breanne Davis NASCAR Women Techs Rock Scholarship for $10,000. She needed that money. And then we also found out, she's like, do you know what I do for a hobby? I'm a photographer. I'm like, really? Let me see your portfolio. She was good. So I needed photography. We hired her, got a whole bunch of photography done, and we'd give her a stipend of a couple $100 for the photos. It was a win-win. It was cheaper than me hiring a photographer, and yet she needed the funds to stay in school, and we got to support a future tech. We stayed with her. She found the first employment with one of our board members and went to work for Tesla. And now she's working for Lucid Motors as a mobile tech. And she is an official TechForce influencer ambassador. And this is why you see her in our videos. You've seen her on the main stage at the Las Vegas Concours. She's a spokesperson because I guess we drank the Kool-Aid with her. We're really proud of that we have that type of relationship with the students. The last thing I'm really proud about is that we knew as a good nonprofit, you can't just do all of the good work. You can't have the programs. And even though you're impacting lives and that it was a good day at the track, or that you gave a scholarship and grant, which we continue to do. We do $1.5 million in scholarships and grants every year. And that's to support tuition, but it's also to help on relocation, but it's also to help on life happens emergencies, because we're one of the only charities that provides cash grants when life happens. But we know our average is a $450 hiccup is enough to derail a student and force them to drop out of school. Well, we need these techs. There's just not enough. So shame on us if we let them drop out over a $450 hiccup. Sometimes they just need something. They lost their childcare and they need a little stipend. Or the irony is thick. They come out and they have a flat tire and they need 4 new tires. They're bald and now they can't get to school or work because they can't replace the tires. Or if they do, now they can't pay rent. I mean, these are just starving students. It's classic, and they need to get through that pipeline. So we know we can give them scholarships. We know we can take them to events. We know we can tell them it's an exciting industry and introduce them to mentors. But in the end of the day, you need IT. You need IT to really be able to communicate with this generation because they want to talk and communicate and engage with you on their smartphone, like it or not. And the other part is you have to be able to measure impact because our donors want to know they're moving the needle. And so to be able to have the IT to bring them into the TechForce community, to stay in touch with them, to offer them all the different resources they might need when they need it. It's not like Chris was with us for an 8-week period and got everything she needed and was done with us. It's a journey. So you want to stay with it. So building this IT was the other biggest piece that, as Greg Rintel and others on my board know, it's a huge investment. It's a big lift, but we're really proud that it is now alive and well and getting better every day. This is the TechForce website, and this is the TechForce community now behind it. Thanks to people like Margaret, who's on the phone, who helped us set up our very first website. It now has evolved into the website where you can learn about TechForce, but where my red arrows are, you can actually enter the network and the community. And it's in the community where students, instructors, enthusiasts, and working professionals, employers, everybody can come together. It is a community by and for technicians, and that whole support system around there.
What's up, everyone? I'm world champion drifter and professional fun haver, Vaughn Gittin Jr. I'm reaching out to you today to let you guys know about TechForce, a new peer-to-peer, effectively social network designed to give aspiring present and future technicians a place to show their stuff.
Welcome to TechForce, a platform dedicated to launching and advancing the careers of next-generation technicians. Follow industry trends and connect with future employers. Compete with other users and climb the leaderboard in daily and special trivia. Redeem prizes with your points from industry partners. Attend events and see what's going on in your area. $1.5 million in scholarships awarded annually. Access free videos and content to explore your areas of interest. Join techforce.org.
Pretty cool, right? So make sure you head to jointechforce.org. Have fun.
And obviously what's important about that is we are using Gen Z marketing. So, to be able to get a Formula Drifter like Vaughn Gittin Jr. is huge. To use a Leah Pritchett or a Leah Pruitt, different things like that. It's important because that's how we start to reach them. But to bring them into this network and to be that there for them, that's huge. So I guess in closing, what I would love to say is you can help me, help all of the TechForce team, help these students succeed. I always like to say, what would you say to the younger you? If you get this, kid, if you love the roar of the engine, you understand why you love cars, then you understand many of these who want to make it a career. Help them get there. There's a couple ways I'll share with you. Everybody can do something, and that's what I kind of beg of you as a good nonprofit gal. Do something. Just anything, do something. So of course, we're a charity, so we need donations, and they can be big donations and they can be small donations, and they can be one time, or they can literally be $20 reoccurring on your credit card. Make it painless in order to make it a good impact. But really, it's a massive industry. And if everybody just did something, I really do believe it would add up and give us the arsenal to really be able to combat this challenge. If you're interested, whether it's a monthly gift, a quarterly gift, you can pay via credit card. Those reoccurring gifts, you can just throw us a check in the mail. We even take stock donations. So we're very much set up for that. You can either go to techforce.org. And of course, on our website, you would see our donate now button, or if you're mobile friendly and you want a reminder, you can text the word text. That's hard to say, text to tech, the word tech to 91999. And then that gives you a reminder and a link of where to be able to donate. And that way the automated system keeps reminding you so you don't forget. But there's also a volunteer. So like I said, we take students, we're starting to ramp up that volunteer. So, Ed Chippewaski, be careful. You're going to get all these phone calls now, right? And it's where you can go and you can host students, or you can be a mentor in your community. But also maybe you just say, hey, I would do some media interviews talking about why this is important. Anything like that. We have a whole list of ways you can help through being a volunteer. Check that out. And the third idea is just join us, right? Follow us on social media. It's a numbers game out there. So when we can say we have a lot of followers and a lot of subscribers, that's good for us. That's really good. So the more friends we can have, please check us out on the social media channels of your choice, including our YouTube channel with that Women Techs Rock series. But you can also create a profile in that community. And so if I go back and I think about, how do I have you create that profile in the community? My computer's not letting me go backwards. Then you just go to the very, very top. You go to the very, very top here, or here in the center, create your profile. And when you click on create a profile,
what's up, everyone?
No, I don't want you again. Let me show you what happens. You can come to our website. right? And this is our website. And like I said, here's the create a profile. And you just sign up as an industry enthusiast. Maybe you're a car hobbyist or enthusiast. Maybe you want to sign up as an industry professional because the gal who came on earlier is looking to buy an auto shop, right? And she's like, well, I'm an industry professional. I'm going to hire tech someday. So just create your profile, however you feel you want to kind of associate yourself. And that brings you right into the TechForce network. And when you come into the TechForce network, you hit people over here and you see all of the people. We have over 10,000 students, over 1,000 working techs, and then all the rest of them are enthusiasts like you or industry professionals. And this has only been launched for, a half a year or so. But they come in here, and this is where my friend who's on the phone, Mr. Steve DiMarzio, always ends up on the leaderboard. Let's see, is this working? I think I have to refresh. Hold, please. But right, Steve, you come in here and you play and you go ahead and you get to do trivia. You upload events for people to see. You do all kinds of things, and that allows you to earn points. And our young students want to earn points and be on the leaderboard. And so that's what the TechForce community brings you through. You can play trivia. You can find events where we have free tickets. And you can literally find a school that's in your neighborhood that has some type of a program. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And I would be really loving if there's any questions or even a conversation.
Well, we do have some questions, Jennifer, and I don't know, but my mouth is hurting from smiling. You always do great presentations and great goosebumps, and so proud of what you guys have accomplished in such a short time. And Steve DiMarzio, you're the man. Always the man, Steve DiMarzio.
Always on the leaderboard.
Always on the leader. He's always got something going on. He's such a big supporter of yours, Jennifer. So, Sherry, you asked if, do you need mentors? Sherry's a rock star and another super connector. She used to work for Don Panos and has a great company right now. But how could Sherry help you out with mentorship?
Thank you for that. So I think this is where we're just starting to build. So raise your hand, and we're standing up on our website. Literally, if it's not up today, it'll be up in a couple of days, a volunteer form where you can watch a video and you can see what the heck we expect and what we're looking for. But in there is be a mentor. And if you sign up, you fill out the little form and say, I want to be a TechForce volunteer. And our new gal, Layla Cupertino, is our volunteer engagement manager, and she would reach out to you. And part of that is trying to find the fits, right? Where do you live? What are you interested in doing? Most of our volunteer experiences, honestly, are not going to be one-on-one. It's not going to be like a big brother, big sister. It's going to be more about groups. That's for the safety of everyone. It's also because, we want our volunteers to be able to play the role in the life of a tech, but not feel like it has to go forever. And like, now how do I get out of this? So it's a little bit more about mentoring, saying, be part of, for instance, the Women Techs Connect network that we're going to set up, where these are women techs. They need to see other women in the industry and be part of that series. Or you say, I'll be a mentor and allow 10 students to come meet me at a Cars and Coffee, and I'll show them around and I'll introduce them to friends and I'll help them network. That type of stuff we need. Does that help? And if you can't find it on the website, just shoot me an email.
Well, I just see the lady in pink there, Luann Shirk, smiling big time. Luann, join us here for a second. Luann doesn't run the BMW Foundation, but she runs everything for BMW. And I know she does a lot of events, and I could just see this being an absolutely excellent marriage between your two organizations.
Yes, I'm with the BMW Car Club of America. We have like 66,000 members across the United States, and we have local, regional, national events constantly, hundreds of them a month. So I can't believe there wouldn't be a way to incorporate this into our everyday activities.
That would be wonderful. And again, just something like that where, if you let me know the events and the schedules, we load it, because even if there's not a connection, we want students to know your events are out there.
Right.
Or even just, an opportunity to be able to come to a museum or something like that, where people allow us access. A lot of these kids come from very, very kind of tough backgrounds, obviously 100% financial need in order to get our scholarships and grants. So that's why, like, when we take them to Barrett Jackson and they don't have to pay a $50 admission fee, they're just over the moon, grateful.
Well, BMW has a beautiful museum right there in Greer, South Carolina. So I know Jacqueline, who runs it, she'd probably be tickled pink to have a bunch of students out there.
You would love it. I know we already have a program that runs through the actual BMW manufacturing. They bring all their new hires and their hope to be hired people there all the time. So I can't believe that we couldn't work something out with Jackie. She's a trustee there at the museum.
Thank you.
I'm writing a note.
I'll connect you. The super connector will connect you to.
Okay, that's fine.
And then Cynthia, she has a really good question here. She was a little bit late, but we'll forgive her. Is for what you were just sharing, is it just students that can post on the leaderboard, or can we post auto camps, et cetera, on the board? So I think that falls in with what we were just talking about, Jennifer.
Yeah, so we have a whole category just called events. And so that is where anybody can post an event that maybe a student would want to go to if they want to, indulge more in learning about the industry, shows, events. I mean, they could literally be anything from a car show to an air show in aviation. It could be an auction. It could be a cars and coffee. It could be a career fair. It could be some type of a training. I mean, these are all events that if they're open and available, they don't know what they don't know. So I think, from an event standpoint, that's important. The entire site is gamified. So we look at it and say, kind of prove your passion and strut your stuff. So if you're engaged and you're taking trivia and every single time you're doing a name that part and you're like, oh, I know what that part is. I know what that is, or name that tool. And you're learning while you're doing. So you're also accumulating points because Gen Z wants to level up and hit their points and show off all that. That's how they think. So our points get assigned, but anybody who's in the network is getting those. So as I joke, Steve DiMarzio has his camera off, but he's not a tech student. And he is an enthusiast and a car collector, and he gets in there and he is constantly challenging those kids to knock them off the leaderboard. So we've got students playing, we have enthusiasts playing, and then people can play for a school. In the future, the vision is you'll be able to redeem points for things that help students with their education, or schools to help them with kind of their shops and their classrooms because they need resources. But we're just getting everybody going. So I guess that's the leaderboard and then events. But if you attend event, we give you points because that just, gets you more passionate.
Jennifer, one of the things that you did not share in your presentation, and I know you guys worked hard on, is the mobile TechForce unit. And I'm just wondering, is that because where was I? At Barrett Jackson, and you had it there. For someone like Luann or others who are doing events, might that be an opportunity for some of these events to have the TechForce mobile unit there?
Yeah, shame on me. I don't have an image and I don't want to get distracted dumpster diving in my computer trying to find one, but we have a 2,000 square foot STEM career center exhibit that can set up. And imagine it can set up the full, or it can set up in smaller pieces. But we worked with a lot of our partners, Snap-on, Greg Rentola, who's on the phone. We have the Go Nuts Challenge. We've got a porta-tree. We've got a clip car where you race taking off the tires. But basically, it's designed to showcase how STEM subjects do relate to auto and diesel technology. When you actually have to deal with those wrenches and those nuts and the metrics, that's math. We set it up at places where a lot of students and families are, because that's our opportunity to get that traffic and to dispel those myths and to find those kids who are like, that's what I want to do, and to educate the parents that these are really rewarding careers. So that exhibit rolls around. We were donated a 27-foot box trailer by Penske Truck Leasing, and it is all wrapped TechForce, and it can pull up. Our hope was to have two. Again, a little setback right now, wanted one on each coast. We are currently with one on the West Coast, stored in Phoenix, so it pretty much can travel to the Southwest, unless there's something really gives us a good reason to pull it further. But that's something that we hope people will invest in, because it's really a nice, interactive, engaging way to communicate with the kids and the teachers usually open their eyes.
Yeah, and managing expectation. It's not like you have a huge budget to say, hey, we're taking it to Texas. If you want to use it, obviously there are going to be some costs to help fund and get it there and staff it. So we're getting a lot of chatter over here, Jennifer, about this. So I want to make sure that folks know, it's available and it's beautiful. I remember being there again at Bear Jackson, and these kids just with their daddies and mommies having such a great time in the competition. But if you're interested, either reach out to me reach out to me and I'll make sure to connect you with Jennifer and her team. Deb Pollock, who's one of our most loyalist virtual attendees, almost more than Margaret. I think Margaret's missed one though. Deb, you might have missed a couple of them. But Deb, could you share what you shared with me? Because I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, Jennifer, I actually spoke last week to Mike Crescendo.
I had heard,
Yeah, and we chatted about a bunch of different things, and I've made a few connections with him because at Singer, we are looking to grow our technician staff greatly. We just moved into a brand new 115,000 square foot facility and moved all 7 of our assembly shops under one roof for the first time. And we're just growing like great guns. And so I've signed up to get on there, and I've got our HR person hopefully connected to him. But I'm also thinking I'd love to, create a quick tour. I don't mean a quick tour. I mean a small group, or maybe more than one small group, to come down and see what we do later in the summer. So do I talk to Mike about that? Do I talk to you about that? How do we work that out?
Well, you can always talk to anybody at TechForce. There's nothing like that, but you have been communicating with Mike, and he certainly knows all of the details of what could happen. So you're in good hands either way.
Okay, super.
Thanks, Deb. Sherry, I see your hand up.
Yes, I have a question. I have to get on an international team call, so I just want to make this real quick. Where were you 30 years ago when I went through my apprenticeship? I'm a licensed journeyman electrician, and not too many people know that because they know me from the Don Panos world and, working as an executive and doing what I do, but they have no idea how I know as much as I do and how I got there, and how painful that path is. And just people don't think that it's needed today to a certain extent because the stigma they think is not there. I kid you not, just before this call, I spent over 30 minutes educating a young man who opened up his own construction business, and he posted a job opening on Facebook for men. Literally the word men. And so I at first started to blast him literally in his post, but sidetracked and did it personally and professionally to let him know about Title VII of that's illegal, that he can't do that. But what's in his best interest is he's weeding out potential candidates that would be very, very successful for him on the job. And so I gave him a backdoor whip ass, excuse my mouth, of, you really are missing the boat on this. But I wanted to tell you, thank you very much for what you're doing. I'm not a technician in the automotive or aerospace world, but I definitely can be a mentor because I literally would not be who I am today and what I have accomplished if I did not go through this path. So I want to applaud you and everybody that works for you and all of the men who support this as well. So anything that I can do, count me in. And I really appreciate everything. And thank you, as always, Cindy, for you and the rest of the team for putting on events like this, and for Lynn and everybody else. So thank you.
You're awesome, Carrie. Thank you. All right. A meeting without Steve DiMarzio raising his hand. Hi, Steve. Thank you, Sherry.
I have a question for Jennifer. So 2 questions. One, you talk about middle and high school. What about the elementary school level? Do you have thinking about pushing things down to get them interested at an early age?
Great question, because in a perfect world, you absolutely would. But being a $5 million organization, we don't have the funding to be able to go that wide and deep yet. And so that's just a business decision of trying to figure out where you can focus and try to make an impact. And that 7th grade year is, 6th and 7th is a pivotal time that we feel like we can impact before we've lost them. But any organization where we find that they have more depth in the K, through the elementary school, we partner. So just always remember, it's, if you're a good nonprofit, if you want to solve problems, you collaborate. You don't try and have everything in your own sandbox. You don't try and build it yourself. And so, this is where I have some partners on the phone, right? If we find a kid who cares about restoration and loves vintage and restoration, we're like, amen, Nick Ellis, RPM Foundation, you know more than we do in that space. Or we've got Charlie Ayers from CCAR who's on the phone. And, so we have lots of friends in the spaces where we can go deeper. And that's where we look at who is doing great programming with some of the elementary schools and make sure everybody knows. But we can't spend our donor dollars trying to build programming there. Not today.
Okay. And my second question, although it's on focus, your focus currently is on the automotive here. Anything deeper as far as airframe and power plants, as far as the aviation side?
Yeah. So our new website just went live, and I think, it's a work in progress every day, but you'll see more and more imagery and more storytelling coming out of TechForce to make sure people recognize that we are wide across all sectors of the technician trades. Why and what that means. It's auto, it's diesel, it's aviation, it's collision, it's motorcycle, it's marine, it's restoration, it's welding. In the end of the day, a young person doesn't know which one they want to choose. So we show them the whole kind of smorgasbord and say, pick your passion, but also ye who best activates wins, right? That's where if industry comes and really embraces and supports these kids, then they will also have those relationships and see that lift. So I think, we look at it and say, we've got to show everything, because a technician isn't just a vehicle anymore. And it's just not even transportation, because the people, as I was told recently, the marine business doesn't think they're in transportation, they're in recreation. This industry has a lot of wonky terminology. I've gotten off the stage and gotten, darling, we're not in the transportation industry. That's transport and logistics. And it's like, I don't know what words to use sometimes. I'm just trying to talk about the technician profession. Oh, well, you mean IT and healthcare techs and HVAC? So it's hard. Language is hard. But in the end of the day, if it has an engine, a motor, it needs a technician to keep it moving. That's what we mean. And that's why even in the aviation, we're working with American Airlines and United right now, who say we've got the aircraft maintenance technicians, but they also have ground services, keeping the baggage and the conveyor belts and lift and all those vehicles running. So that's our sweet spot as the technician, however you want to define it. If that helps.
Thank you.
Greg Rentala, I think I saw his hand up.
Yeah. Speaking of engines, that neat little fan he has in the background, right?
Oh, yeah. It's hot. I'm in Phoenix, it's hot. I can't get to the pool. So, couple of things. First of all, it was at Sherry with Panos. Is that who that was? She talks like a journeyman electrician. But
oh, it looks like is she still here?
No, she had to run to that
meeting. She had to go to an international call or something. The early age education thing. I know I've talked to Jennifer about this, but at Snap-on, we started getting into that and are still getting into that. You talk to, kindergartners, first graders, and you ask them what they want to do when they grow up, right? They want to be a fireman. They want to be a school teacher. They want to work at McDonald's, because those are the only places they have been. So you need to, it's a good idea to figure out how to get more involved in that early age education to try to get these kids directed, in a different direction than being, flipping burgers their whole life, which they won't do, but exactly. Get their mind opened up early. The other thing is, we're talking about events. Jennifer, I'm sure there is a Cars and Coffee. Actually, there's probably 3 or 4 of them every weekend here in Phoenix somewhere. Mm-hmm. I usually go to 1 or 2 or 3 of them in different weeks. They're all open to the public without a problem. But if you'd like me to host, a handful of kids, I'll do that. I'll send you a note and we'll figure out. they can
Yeah,
meet me.
that's exactly right. That's
Yeah,
if we know that you will willing to do that.
Sure.
Then we know the schedules, then we can put it out there. And if kids sign up, then again, we can call you and say, we've got 5 coming. Where should they meet you and what time? But play a role in the life of a future tech, because
that's easy to do. I mean,
15 minutes can change their life.
But you need to keep it small, because you don't want a huge group of kids going through. This week it was at Alpio's, which, there's millions of dollars worth of cars sitting in that parking lot.
Right, but they don't even, those kids don't even know they can, they know they can go. First of all, do they know it even exists?
Right.
If they do they know to just show up there by themselves? So then at least when they get bundled with 5 other students, they feel safer and they feel like somebody's going to meet them and show them what they're looking at. So it does create kind of a safe environment.
And I can get them into a lot of the garages and stuff too. So I'll get with you, and if we can keep it to 4 or 5 kids, when I'm going, I'll give you my schedule and we'll go from there.
And then Ed, you have a question.
Yes, going back to what Stephen was talking about with early education, and Greg also. I just recently retired from career and technical education, where I was a diesel technology instructor for almost 22 years, coming from the trucking industry. Probably the most underused thing in education, public education, are tours of local career techs. We started having high schoolers coming to our school on a career exploration, and then they opened it up to younger students in middle school. I had the most fun, and all the teachers, we had the greatest time seeing these young students coming through our 23 programs. The looks on their faces, the questions. And also one other thing that was really interesting is they were brought in by guidance counselors and peoples from the sending schools. The overwhelming response from the adults was, we didn't know. They didn't know what went on in the schools. They didn't know the high caliber education the students get. They didn't know about the certifications that they can receive, and that they didn't know the high wages that some of these students can obtain right after high school, debt-free, in a lot of instances where they don't need to go on to a higher education. There are companies out there that are starving for technicians, and like Penske, for example, and FedEx Freight, they are more than willing to grow their own. And just having the people to reach out to their local schools and say, hey, take a look at your career tech.
Yeah, it's really important. There was a question here. I think we'll make this our last question. I got to find it, from Kim Poole. It says, which falls into this, do you help with job placement for the students after they go through training? Jennifer.
Yeah, that's that whole pipeline to placement, right? And so if you sit there and say, how is it that if we bring you into the network and we come in here and we help you, pick your school, and we've got scholarships you can apply, and you come in and go to events. Like I said, you've got training, different challenges. You might want to come in here and take your trivia for the day, or do some of the other special trivia. The end of the pipeline is your career hub. And so this is where we ask everybody who has a business, we ask you as individuals to donate whatever you can to help. We have a lot of donors who are individuals. We have donors who are foundations, but we also have corporations, the big ones. You see these big logos of Nissan and Ford and General Motors and Penske and all these, but we also need the small shops, right? The brands, all of these people who care and depend upon techs. And that's where right now we've stood up Career Hub, where for as little as literally $1,000 donation, like $85 a month, a business, just one mom and pop business service center, could go ahead and have different rights and benefits within TechForce to be able to help these students and be able to let students know that they exist, that they have jobs for them, even whether it's a full-time technician job, maybe it's a part-time job so they have money to stay in school and they get introduced to the business, washing the cars because they don't have the skills yet, right? Or maybe it's an apprenticeship that they don't know you offer. So that is where, again, all of these different pieces of the TechForce network, and this is a massive database. So when they fill out their profile and they say, I know how to do brakes and I've got my certifications and I have all of this, there's a profile locker where they can store this resume information. And then because these kids are not writers and they're not necessarily great at keeping all that, you can hit a button, it puts a resume together for them. And in the background, the database can link them and suggest jobs that are in their neighborhood, in their area, looking for stuff, looking for the employer they're looking for. And so even as a small shop owner, you could be in there letting them know that you care about techs. So that's how we built it. Like I said, pipeline to placement, everything they need in one place, and our ability to keep in communication with them and see them grow and be able to prove that we're moving the needle.
Thank you, Jennifer. You're always amazing.
Pleasure. Thanks for even having me.
You got it, sister.